Everything in the goddamn register. Open it up, you fucking worker.
Okay.
You shut up over there. Everything in here right now to me. Don't do it. Sit down. Don't do it. Sit down. Don't do it.
We put together a deadly force training scenario in this diner with 2A advocate Colion Noir. We're doing this to train you on the tactical and legal aspects of when you can and can't shoot. Remember, Colion is using a specially modified Glock 17 because a firearm is the best tool you can use to protect yourself. That is why we have a gun giveaway going on right now. You can enter for free, so click the link down below to learn which brand new gun you could win. Begin scenario.
Where were you?
Told you, we were just out having a few drinks.
No, you weren't. Where were you?
Well,
It's with the guys.
I checked the location on your phone. Where were you?
Not those kind of guy.
okay.
I told you, we were just out having a few drinks.
Oh, my sister texted me.
She what?
She texted me. You were with her last night.
I don't know what to tell you, babe.
You slept with my sister. I could kill you.
I just got it.
Babe! Babe!
Yeah, I'm just gonna mind my business.
Hi.
Yeah,
How are you
order
doing?
for a pickup.
Sure. What's the name?
Cool. And everything in the register, please.
What?
Yeah, everything in the fucking register. I mean, are you stupid? Can you not hear me? I'm standing right in front of your face. Everything in the goddamn register. Open it up, you fucking worker. You shut up over there. Everything in here right now to me. Don't do it. Sit down. Don't do it. Fucking sit down, you son of a bitch. Just hold on. Don't do it. Wait, hey, hold on. Shut up. Don't do it. You man. Don't do it. You. Now, bitch. Goddamn register. Open it up. Shut up. Right now to me. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Colion, how'd you like it?
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. Very eye-opening.
I'm gonna ask you the very first question. How many times did you shoot?
Oddly enough, that's one of the things that I remembered and recalled. For some reason, there were some things that I specifically remember. And I'm like, I remember shooting 3 times.
Okay.
That's 3.
And we're here with criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor Tom Grieve. Tom, Colion just said he shot 3 times. What did you see?
8 is what the camera picked up.
8 rounds.
That's
fired at the bad guy. This is a perfect time to discuss making a statement to the police because you just came out of just a training scenario with just a little bit of elevated stress, and you swore.
I would have testified under oath that I shot 3
You
rounds.
fired 3 times. Tom, what happens when you tell a cop something that's not true?
Well, I mean, number one, you're looking at possible obstruction charges, but more realistically than that, obviously, on some sort of obstruction misdemeanor, it doesn't mean anything in the context of a potential homicide charge. What you are looking at, though, is, you know, that's an easy thing for them to check out. It's an easy thing for them to talk to other witnesses about. If you've got a topped-off magazine, they're counting how many rounds you have left. They're counting the brass on the ground, right? It's an easy thing for them to check, and then to figure out from there, well, he got this wrong. What else is he not being honest with?
Yeah. Follow up on this. Bad guy was hitting the door, and we heard him holler on the way out. He took one in the back. So as he was running out through the door, he took one in the chest too. And you don't automatically fall down. It's not Hollywood. Yeah. But he was running away, and you might have got him once in the back. The goal we want, folks, is for you to go home safe. Yeah. Now you're.
I was like, once he's done with this guy, he's gonna. I don't know what he's gonna do. Yeah. I didn't even know that was an area for him to escape through. I thought that was just. I'm like, now he's a cornered, scolded dog. I don't know.
We tried to give you that information by sending our first actress out the door, so you knew that was an exit. Somebody left that door. Now we're watching. I tell people all the time, when you walk into a room, figure out a way to get out. And not always the way you came in.
Is the way.
Yeah. Because typically we want to go out the same way we came in, especially under stress.
Yeah.
We also put you in a real bad position to get to that exit with a bad guy over there with a gun.
Yeah.
But you sent your girlfriend out. And I'm not going to say you did wrong. That's for the prosecutor to say. You could have escaped this situation. And then there's no gunfight. And then you're telling your friends, yeah, I was in that coffee shop minutes before the gunfight happened.
Fair enough.
And that's what the prosecutor will say. Right? She left, he could have left too. Had this been real life, right? Had the bad guy, is he gonna die out in the parking lot? Is he gonna bleed out? Whatever the case may be. And then what will happen is they'll do a medical examiner report. They'll try to figure out which shot killed him, right? So we know the bad guy got hit twice. Once somewhere from the front, once somewhere from the back. which shot was the fatal shot? And of course, the medical examiner, the ME, will do their autopsy. They'll say, maybe, conclusively, this shot, what we believe to be the deadly shot. God willing, that was the first shot to the chest, right? And that might be the difference between, you know, charges versus no charges. A homicide charge versus nothing.
And I'm not going to sit here and say that you can't shoot somebody in the back. This guy still had a gun out. You're in a gunfight with him, and you know the time it takes for you to decide to stop doing what you're doing is enough time for him to turn. And you can get a professional witness to talk about that and to help exonerate you. But you're going to need a professional witness because the whole world says, he shot a dude in the back. And I want to look at this just from the base level that any concealed carrier might see. We have an armed robbery, a bad guy with a gun. You pulled out your gun and engaged him. It looks from the outset, imminent threat of death or great bodily harm. I use deadly force to stop the threat. There's way more than that going on in this little room.
Seeing people carry guns, open carry, doesn't bother me. If I go out in life, I don't. However, in my mind, the moment you pull that gun and you use it intentively, or just or act aggressively in that regard, so I felt my life's in danger. And that's why, even though they were engaging, I'm thinking at any moment he's going to turn to me, and now he's going to have to deal with. Now I'm going to have to deal with him. And so I'm like, I'm going to stop that before it even gets to that point because he's already. I was aware that your life was in danger. And I cared enough in that after you, he's coming to me. So if I can stop him getting to you, I don't have to deal with him possibly coming to me at some point. But like you said, it's a lot deeper than that, right? Especially from a third party. Somebody else sitting back watching that could say, I mean, yeah, I get it, but did you really have to?
And that's going to be the question that the prosecutors are going to ask. Did you really have to? Is it could you have done something else?
Here's the pitch for prison. All right, the pitch to prison, the pitch for prison against Colion goes something like this.
Thanks.
Right? Here we go, YouTube. He could have retreated. He didn't. He could have left. He didn't. Do we know necessarily when we're looking at all these different witness reports about who provoked who when it comes to the guy on the couch, when it comes to the guy who, looks for all respects as the bad actor, right? But there's going to be questions there that some lawyer is going to raise as far as, look, he might be robbing the place, but that doesn't mean that he may not be privileged to use self-defense. And if that's the guy who is the legal person who's defending themselves, Colion might be looking at, we got homicide charges now because I attacked the wrong guy. Maybe if he waits another quarter second, half second, granted, good to go at that point. From there, we move on from a prosecutor perspective of we got 8 shots versus 3. So how much can we trust whatever else he told us, right? And then, of course, we got the shot to the back. And then we're going to be talking about what happened to the guy who's robbing the place. I'm going to call him the bad guy here, right? What happened to the bad guy? Did he die in the parking lot? And then we get back to the discussion of the ME, the medical examiner, as far as which shot was the fatal shot, the first one to the chest or the one that he was running away from. Because, of course, as we all know, we only shoot to stop the threat. And yes, we can get into discussions in Colion's defense now. Absolutely, meritorious discussions need and deserve to be had as far as response time, what's reasonable under the circumstances of a high-stress situation. If somebody spins to run away and that all happens within a very small, reasonable amount of time, that a force expert's going to be talking about is, he may have spun and incidentally, as a result, may have shot him in the back. That doesn't change the fact that he was legally privileged to use self-defense at that moment in time based on neuroscience, chemistry.
God forbid you get a prosecutor who is more on the anti-side of the issue. I mean, now you've got somebody who's devoted to making their case against you. So there's that aspect of there. Just one thing I can pull away from this is I walked into this with a certain level of confidence just based on my experience, and I'm walking away realizing there are so much you can't control that you think you can control within the situation that you think you have covered, but you don't. Because that ball of yarn keeps rolling even after you put the gun down. And it rolls in a way that you can't control. And that's something I hadn't completely thought through in a scenario like this.
And you're absolutely right. It just keeps going. And when we say it keeps going, we're going to do another one. We're going to put you through this again.
So what are our plans this weekend? I don't know if we're solidified on that. So.
Have a good day. We gotta get some work knocked out.
Okay. So, is there anything that I can help with?
Okay. No, I'm good. Thanks. I appreciate it. I just thought I would, you know.
This is a robbery! Everybody, nobody move! Nobody move! Put your wallets in the bag! Nobody move! Wallet in the bag.
Wallet only.
Right now, wallet in the bag. Thank you very much for your participation. Wallet in the bag. You guys over there. Every one of you. Yes, even you, blue shirt. Wallet in the bag. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you for your time. Make sure you get her on the way out.
What? What? Oh my God.
Don't do it.
Please, no. Colion, please help me. Please help me.
Colion, we put you in a tough spot and you aced it. That was perfect. We didn't want to give you a chance.
Well, it felt like hell.
Good. That's exactly how we wanted it to be. And prior to coming into this scenario, we set up all the role players specifically to make sure you couldn't move, and we gave you a 2-second window.
Man, I went and I was jonesing for that. It's weird how you go from like I was genuinely startled.
Yeah.
Because I didn't expect for a gun to go off for whatever reason. He comes in and he pops the cashier, and I'm just like, I went. At that point, there's a kind of it's just like this overwhelming helplessness, because in your mind, your first instinct mentally is kind of like, all right, how to get to my gun, right? But then I'm like, I can't get to my gun because there's already a gun trained on me. Not only that, there's two.
Yeah, there's two.
Yeah, and then when that guy popped off, then I just got pissed. Because I was just like, it went from startle to helplessness to, oh, mother, because the second guy, and then it was just almost pure anger. I already got gun trained on me. There's not much I can do. I'm sitting down. I'm not going to be able to get to my gun that fast. And I know if I start shooting, they're going to open up. She doesn't have a gun, and she won't be able to move out fast enough. Hell, I won't even be able to move away fast enough. I may start shooting. He may get hit, but so will I.
Yeah.
And so at that point, I'm just like, all I can do is hope they don't just shoot us. But they did just pop the cashier. So part of me is like, all right, this is for real. Like, this isn't like, okay, we're just going to take the stuff and go. It's like at any point, the switch could flip again. And he's just like, oh, kill someone else. And that's when he was like, take her too. At that point, I'm like, wait, what? Because I couldn't tell if it was like, shoot her too or take her with us. And so when he started coming, and I thought he was going to shoot, and he had the gun trained, I kind of started, and he was like, don't you do it. And then he kind of reached and grabbed her hand, and I was like, okay, they're just trying to take her. So at this point, I'm like, all right, that gives me a little bit more opportunity to find where I could possibly dead this. Because now they're trying to take my person.
Yeah,
right?
That's exactly
That's unacceptable. Yeah. So at this point, I'm like, all right, wait. And all I'm looking at is the barrel of that gun. And I'm like, as soon as the barrel, because I'm not worried about her from the standpoint of her getting hit because she's with him now. And he's trying to leave, which I would have genuinely just let him go, but he's trying to take my person.
Yeah.
So, and at that point, as soon as the barrel left me and he disengaged to a degree, and I could still kind of see he held her hand. She was still trying to take her. So that's when I grabbed, that's when I saw my opportunity. But also I just wanted to make sure, I was like, I don't want to hit her. So I just want to get as close as possible, as fast as possible, and then get my shots off.
Yeah, that was perfect. And we didn't expect you to crush that distance in there. We thought maybe you'd get up and shoot from even shoot from a seated position. But to close that distance and shoot from 3 feet, that was great. Now we got what I would call a legitimate shoot in the back. Now you were back there watching frame by frame to make sure, because you're doing the prosecutor thing.
Doing the prosecutor thing.
What I saw was Colion shoot, Pete let go, Colion stop shooting. Is that what you saw on the frame by frame breakdown? Because when I was watching this, as I watched it happen, I was like, this is perfect. It's exactly what I wanted. That's exactly the way this should have gone. What did you see?
There's 2 legal issues. The first one is we're going to have to be able to articulate, or at least Colion will, that when the bad guy was taking his girlfriend, why that was a deadly threat to her, to someone. Because of course, you can't just use deadly force. We can only use deadly force to stop a deadly threat, whether that's to yourself or to someone else, right? Defense of third person. So that's going to be the first legal issue here, is to be able to articulate why this rises to the level of a deadly threat, so I can now use deadly force. The second issue is, when does that deadly threat stop, right? In other words, if he lets go of her hand, if the bad guy lets go of his girlfriend's hand in this scenario, is that still a deadly threat? Yeah. Now, to Colion's point, we just watched them cap the cashier for no particularly good reason. So I think that even if he had fired after the hand had let go of her, I'm not saying that as a defense attorney I'm in love with this position, but I think that leans more towards the prosecution if you had fired after that point. But the simple fact is he didn't fire after that point. And I think that as a defense attorney, I would much rather have Colion as my client than be the prosecutor trying to prosecute him for, hey, you didn't have the right to use deadly force in this scenario. I think that if some sort of aggressive prosecutor wants to try to take this to trial, I'd rather be the defense attorney 10 times out of 10 on this.
In this scenario, immediately seeing that cashier get shot, change your whole mindset?
No, absolutely. Because at that point, you know, there's a part of the mind that goes, okay, all right, these guys are robbing a coffee shop, and I'm like, all right, they just want to take stuff and then go, right? Yeah. The moment, the kind of brazen taking of a life, that lets me know, okay, all bets are off. At that point, it's like, it's kind of kill or be killed, but at the same time, don't be the catalyst for it turning into an OK Corral shootout.
Right.
Right.
And that was going to happen.
Yeah.
Everybody had the instruction
that
if he reaches for his gun before he's leaving with the girl, we're going to shoot everybody in the place.
It was probably one of the hardest acts of restraint I've had to engage in because you don't have control. There's a moment there where you're literally you're kind of in a free fall state where you're like, hopefully this shoot will open.
Yep.
Right? Because they have complete control, you know, and at any point he just capped the cashier, so he might just cap me. So I'm waiting for the gun to go bang, while waiting for my opportunity to make my gun go bang fast enough before theirs can.
Absolutely.
And so it's a very interesting kind of dilemma mentally. Your mind is going a billion miles an hour because you're trying to assess so much. And then also trying to make sure that you do the right thing because you got to protect the person you're with. You got to make sure everybody else is pretty much, you don't cause everybody else to get shot up. But then also trying to restrain and check your anger.
Guys, for those of you down the lens, you know, watching this, and for me playing the prosecutor, watching this frame by frame on slow-mo, that does not mean you were here in the moment. That does not mean that you heard the gunshots. That does not mean that you felt the adrenaline, everything just pumping, right? And people, I mean, you lose that being behind the lens. But for those of us who are here, we felt that. Like, you felt that, right?
Yeah.
And that's something where it's going to be really important because how much discipline did that take to not try to draw on a drawn gun?
Like I told you, it's a weird kind of anger. Because that helplessness breeds that anger. It's like, how dare you? How dare you? And then the frustration combines with the anger, and you just want to do something. Just do something, but you can't.
But your training and your education stopped you from doing that.
Pretty much.
That's what that came down to.
And literally in my mind, I was repeating, I was like, you don't draw on an already drawn gun. It's just dumb.
Right.
Want to know the 3 biggest mistakes when carrying a handgun? Then click on the video next to me to reveal all 3 mistakes. Mistake number 2 may shock you.